Good evening. Welcome to the Commission on Disabilities October 10th meeting. If we could please stand to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. If at this time, if we could please stand, two things I would like to do is I would like to take a moment of silence for all the victims in the recent tragedy in Las Vegas. Our thoughts and prayers are with them. Thank you. And secondly, Revere has lost a great person and citizen, Shazano Christie Giannino, who is the father of Sergeant Chris Giannino, and also Joseph Giannino, who's a Revere Fire Department, from the Revere Fire Department, and Counselor Jessica Giannino. He also leaves behind his wife, Joanne. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all his extended family and friends at this time of deep sorrow, and he will greatly be missed. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just going to note for the record that we do not have the presence of a quorum. So we won't go through the full roll call because I see that there are only 3 of you here. So for the edification of the viewing public, we do not have a quorum to pass any motions, but we can go ahead and go forward with some of these updates and information about the events that are ongoing in the city. I will note that we do have a vacancy currently on the commission, and so shortly the city will be posting information on how to apply to fill that vacancy. So if it's something that you might be interested in, be on the lookout about that. So without further ado, Ralph, if you want to get started on the agenda.
Thank you. Item 1 is just a follow-up on Title 1 and Title 2 overview, presentation, and training by the MOD for our city department heads on September 19th at City Hall. From my understanding, it was possibly one of the first times that it was done in the city of Revere. From the feedback that I got, I think it was well receptive, and there was some great knowledge to be benefited from that. What I also have for the commission members, I had sent them the PowerPoint email, and I also have a printout of the PowerPoint that was given that day in case anybody has any questions or concerns. And Joe from the mayor's office, I don't know if you have any point of reference from that meeting.
So I had the opportunity to come for most of that training, and I would just reiterate that it was excellent, and certainly the first time in recent memory that we were able to do this kind of training. So I appreciate the efforts of the entire commission in making sure that became a reality. I think that'll be really helpful. It's actually something that I thought about, some of those principles that we discussed at the Fall Festival a few weeks ago. I kind of, over the course of the day, tried to look through what was going on at the festival through the lens of what we learned in that training, make sure that we're actively thinking about those things moving forward to make sure we're doing the best job we can of making our events accessible.
Anybody else have any comments or questions if you took a look at the PowerPoint or anything that her contact information, Rita Danucci was also available there. If you guys have any other questions or concerns, you could follow up with her. Okay, item 2 on the agenda is a discussion and suggestions regarding a preliminary City of Revere Commission and Disabilities Accessibility Survey. A copy of the draft was emailed to each of the commission members prior to our meeting to review and add the suggestions and the changes. We would not only use this survey as an intake form, but also have it mailed out each year with the city census or our yearly tax bill. So I'm not sure if anybody had time to take a look at it and any suggestions. I researched through other cities and towns for their accessibility surveys, not only in Massachusetts, but through the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but other states. And I just compiled all information through all of them, and I just put it all in there, and then we could pull out what we want to pull out, and if there's any other information that we want to add in. This is just a preliminary draft that I had put together. I became aware of that there was not, that was currently being put together from our cluster meeting.
Ralph? So a couple things that I noticed, if we could maybe make a note, was on Part H, I think it begins with, did you need any assistance filling out this form? I would love to see that if we moved forward with this, to maybe have that right in the beginning, maybe perhaps with a contact name and number, because if someone does in fact need help with the form, it would be nice if they could see that right in the beginning and realize that they could get some support on it. The other question I had was, would there be any opportunity for this to be done electronically as well?
That is something that I would refer to Joe, because I know there is city initiative to try and get everything to be moved to electronic format.
Yeah, so just to provide a little background and context on this, there has been a disability survey in the past that's been sent out with the city census, and I guess over the last couple of years it kind of fell by the wayside. The plan is to revive that through creating this survey, but I think we can definitely look into whether we can create an online option for it. The focus right now is getting it back out with the census. It was always a part of the census, and we want to make sure that we're continuing to do that annually, but we can definitely try to get it online as well.
And a couple other suggestions that I had, if you don't mind, was on Part B, number 1, when it asks if the person knows about the televised meetings, maybe to also include the channel that they could view it on, just so that if they're not aware of it, that they could now be aware of it.
I'd add to that also that you can watch them all on Revere TV's YouTube channel. Speaking of online accessibility.
And then the final one was, let me see, where are we? Still under Section B, where, on number 5, where it talks about social media, if perhaps there could be a couple choices on there, so we could kind of gauge which social media they frequent the most, and then those could be sites that we could target, maybe.
The format that I send you in, was it a Word format that you were able to open and edit? Okay. My idea was to send it that way, and if you can go in and edit your changes that you want to do in just do it in like a red marker. I believe you can do it in a red, or however you want, or highlight it, that the changes. So we'll keep this one as the draft one, and then the changes we'll have in the red, so we know what we changed. That is my game plan, because like I said, I just wanted to put everything in there that was there, so that we would have an outline to go from. This is perfect. This is my idea and thought process on this. Michelle, you have any? Okay. Joe, if you get a chance, if you have any ideas, because you have more on the city side, that we would be able to make sure that this is following all of the correct city side procedures. And
I'm sure the conversations about this will continue moving forward, right? Yeah.
We have also, Paul Mazzoni has a copy of it, and he's going to be looking it over, and Brian has a copy of it, so everybody has a copy of it so that they can go through it. And I just want everybody's input on this so that we could make this a good survey for everyone. Okay. Item 3 on the agenda is the update of city events for September, if Enza.
So the first week of our Special Olympics Young Athletes and Soccer program was a huge success. As you may know, each program runs on Saturdays until November 4th at the Paul Revere School. And we cannot thank our volunteers, the mayor's office, Revere Recreation, our city councilors, school committee members, SEPAC, Revere Public Schools, and of course the families enough. Without all of you, this would not be possible. And a special thank you to our 3 volunteer coaches for making a commitment to working with us. I'm happy to report out that we have about 18 young athletes and soccer players that have come the past couple weeks. And we've been lucky enough to have 35 volunteers show up and help in various ways as well. We continue to have our Monday night playgroup at Revere Recreation, and that takes place at 6 o'clock. And on the 23rd of October, our Drop and Stay Playgroup will have our annual Halloween party for children with special needs for ages 2 through 9. That will take place at 5:30, and if anyone would like to donate juice boxes or snacks, they would be greatly appreciated. And then finally, our next CPAC meeting will take place on October 18th at 6 p.m. at the Revere League for Special Needs, and the agenda will be an open forum for parents. For our September meeting, we were lucky to have Dr. Vidala come by and, just listen to some of the concerns that some of the parents had.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions or anything else they need to add to that? Joe, nothing else on the city side that the recreation center is?
I'd just add, to go along with what Enza said, really appreciate all the cooperation. I know that for the recreation department, they're running like 3 soccer leagues at once on Saturdays right now. So we had to scramble to get enough soccer balls the day before. That was a team effort. With the rec department, with DPW, with folks on the commission, and from our office, and all of our great volunteers. So thanks to everyone for making that happen. All of the soccer leagues have been successful so far, which is great to see. And obviously, with Special Olympics, this is something brand new. So to see it thriving in the first season is just a very, very positive sign about the spirit of our community.
Okay. Next item is item 4 is old business. The first thing that I have on it is a follow-up on the parking mobility smart app phone application. I've been in communication with the parking mobility smart app gentleman by the name of Mac, and he said he didn't receive the first email, so I had sent him a second one about what we were looking for to get some information on, and I did not receive anything back, so I reached out to him again today, and he had just called me before the meeting, so I'm going to actually try calling him again tomorrow. So I'm just going to table that.
So I just want to, with regard to a tabled item regarding a member of the commission, I think we need to have a sort of longer-term conversation about the structure of the commission, and I think there's a vacancy, possibly 2, so we're going to have to go over all of those things. So we should talk about that, put that on the agenda, and maybe have a more full conversation about it at a later time.
Okay. Should we just carry over revisiting of the next item? Okay. Next on it is any late items. If anybody has any late items that weren't able to reach out to me. Seeing none. The next one was an open forum, but I don't see that we would have anything for an open forum. The only next item we have is, before we adjourn, there may be some scheduling, Enza?
Yeah, so our next meeting is supposed to be scheduled for the 14th of November, but I have a work commitment that night, so I definitely cannot be here on the 14th. And I believe the next night is going to be the CPAC meeting.
Okay, let's discuss this in
offline.
between meetings, and any potential changes to the date, we'll make sure to publish on the city calendar, put out a press release, so that way the general public can know in accordance with open meeting law.
Okay, seeing that we don't have any more items, We will adjourn right now temporarily. Our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, November 14th at 6 PM. Thank you.